children today are growing up with a lot more stimulation, as we talked about, right? Um, you can't say no. It's difficult for a parent today to say no. The child may go and get it somewhere else. How do we as parents protect our children from this overstimulation without seeming like complete ogres?
So one of the things that I often talk to families about is if you're trying to implement something, it needs to be for the whole family. If you try to implement something selectively for the child, you're going to fail. So, for example, with food, if certain items are considered no-go, then it should be no-go for everyone. Now, at the same time, it's very sensible to allow cheat days, and it's very sensible to do what we call limit setting. So, say for example, ice creams are allowed, but only on Sundays. Whatever. I think that there is that wisdom in kind of setting boundaries, which is for all of us, and I think then it becomes easier to justify setting those boundaries with children as well, because fairness is something that appeals to a child. Fairness appeals to all of us, but especially for a children, fairness appeals. You see, I mean, mommy and daddy are not doing it. Why don't we all wait till Sunday till we do it? It's not a bad thing. Children understand that. Children understand consistency very well. So being on the same page is extremely important, and not letting two parents shouldn't come at it from two different perspectives. That doesn't help the child. It doesn't help your case with the child also. And being very transparent. So for example, we had a toy shopping moment years ago with one of our children, and I had said, you can buy anything but up to so much. We'll come with you. You can buy one thing and you can buy it up to so much. So walking around Toys R Us, he picks up something. Dad, this is only so much. Can you afford it? Okay, but that's fine. It is very transparent. He understood that there was a limit to which he could do something.
Right.
And I think that also helps children. So I would say consistency, transparency, and fairness in the way we deal with them, and not expecting them to do stuff that we don't do ourselves,
Right.
Helps.
And how does all this play with the brain? And what happens? How do these patterns, these are patterns, right, that we're setting in childhood, how do these sort of imprint themselves on the brain and then fashion the individual as they go along?
Very much, if you think about it, the vast majority of humans are, in a way, they are products of their environment. And our greatest influences come from home. Because we spend far more time at home with our parents and siblings than we do in school or anywhere else, usually. So, in a sense, these patterns, as you call them rightly, are extremely important because they imprint themselves. And if those are good patterns, then they are likely to stay with the child for a very, very long time. Something as simple as, for example, putting things away after you've used them, or having a place for everything in your room. These are things that, once imprinted, tend to follow the person through a lifetime. So I think that there is definitely an opportunity to set good patterns. Like meal times. Having reasonably fixed meal times is something which is very good for children and very good for all of us. And adherence to that helps the child then make that into a pattern in the long term. It also prevents, very often it prevents snacking. Very often it prevents unhealthy eating.
Right.
So, there's that whole exercise. Doing things together as families can be extremely good for children to, I know families, for example, where they play sport together and watch sport together. And so it's a very good bonding activity, and at the same time it's a very positive impression for the children. that they stay with sport in some way and they continue to engage with sport
Through life.
through life.